And joining us now in studio is John Pasalis. He's broker-owner at Realosophy Realty in Toronto. It's good to have you here. Nice to meet you. Okay, we are going to get into this conflict between the Canadian Real Estate Association and the Competition Bureau, which is one of the reasons why we're talking real estate today. But first, these numbers blow me away. Michael, let's put these numbers up if we can. The average Canadian home price in September 2010, according to the Canadian Real Estate Association, was more than $330,000. I remember the days we used to talk about the average house costing $100,000 in this country. That translates into a real estate fee of about $16,500 plus, and of course, additional legal fees on top of that, land transfer taxes on top of that. Buying a home in this country still costs a bit of money. Let's just pull this a bit apart here. The commission.
Yep.
Who gets the commission?
The commission typically is split between two agents. So typically there's a listing agent who would represent the seller in the transaction and a buying agent who would represent the purchasers. On a 5% commission would typically be split in half. So the listing agent would get about 2.5%, and the agent who brings the purchaser would also get 2.5%.
Is that 5% negotiable?
Definitely negotiable.
It is negotiable.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of people don't know about this. I mean, I think that's one of the positive things that's come out of the recent decision with the Competition Bureau, but it definitely is negotiable.
And what do they do for their commission?
A lot of times, well, the half for the purchaser, the 2.5% is really to incent agents to bring their buyers to the property. The listing agent's portion, the 2.5%, I mean, really does vary. There isn't a standard service offering. I think it's just one of the problems with the industry. So you can have agents charging 5% that do nothing other than list a property on the MLS. Other agents do spend an incredible amount of money to market and stage a property to try and get the best price for the seller. So the services really do vary.
When you use a licensed real estate broker, your property is listed on the MLS, the multiple listing service.
Correct.
What makes that unique?
It makes it unique because really in Canada and in the US, it's the one place where virtually every broker goes to find properties for their clients.
It's not a monopoly.
I mean, it's the closest thing to a monopoly.
It's the closest thing to it.
And that's really what drove the Competition Bureau to look into it and to open it up. But that really is what kind of makes it unique.
Because basically every agent's on it.
Everyone's on it. And every buyer's on it. Every buyer's on Realtor.ca, on the public version of it, searching for properties.
Now, Canadian Real Estate Association really recently made some changes to MLS.
That's right.
What'd they do?
So they've recently decided to settle with the Competition Bureau to basically allow any seller to hire a broker to basically just post their listing on the MLS, typically for a flat fee, without providing any other additional services. So it's effectively like having for sale by owner properties on the multiple listing service now.
And what issue exactly did the Competition Bureau have with the way things were before?
What happened before was, in 2006, there were a few brokerages who were providing these flat fee services and not offering any additional services other than posting properties on the MLS. And the Canadian Real Estate Association didn't like this.
They don't like the flat fees?
No, they didn't like it. So they basically established or created new rules in 2006 that basically put these new business models out of business. So they made it impossible for these flat fee brokerages to charge just a flat fee to post the property on the MLS. So once they did that, once the Canadian Real Estate Association did that in 2006, it caught the attention of the Competition Bureau because I guess they felt it was anti-competitive and it was restricting competition, and that's really what triggered their investigation into it.
So consumers like the flat fees, but the agents not so much.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not so the industry doesn't really like it as much because I suppose the Canadian Real Estate Association probably maybe felt a little bit threatened that there is going to be some downward pressure on commissions.
And the biggest difference between a flat fee and a commission is what?
The difference between the flat fee is that typically a seller would pay a brokerage $100 or $200 to just put the property on the MLS. Now,
and that's it.
And that's it. They don't do anything else. So the seller would negotiate all the offers. The seller would book all their viewings. They prepare the house. They would handle all aspects of the transaction. Now, they would probably still have to offer a commission to a cooperating agent. They don't have to offer 2.5%, but I mean, to incent agents to show it, they'll realistically probably have to offer 2.5%.
But basically, the seller was the one who was doing all of the work that normally a real estate agent would do.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which is why it was so much cheaper.
Absolutely.
And that's why agents don't like it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the agents are worried they're going to get, potentially cut out of the transaction a little bit.
Gotcha. Now, the United States has got its own version of MLS, I gather, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, and how are the rules governing the American equivalent of MLS different from what we do here?
I mean, with respect to the flat fee model, that's been around in the U.S. for quite a few years. So that's been operating in many states in the U.S. So that's been out there for quite some time.
Can I read something? Of course I can. I can do whatever I want. No, I'm going to read something that Tony Keller, who's an essayist on this program, wrote for CBC.ca. And here's what he had to say. Another industry that resembles the business of buying and selling houses is travel. Until a little more than a decade ago, if you wanted to buy a plane ticket or book a vacation, you called up your travel agent, who would take a cut to find you the flights and accommodations you were looking for. The arrival of new technology, the internet, changed all that. Travel agency commission rates were driven through the floor, and thousands of traditional travel agents were driven out of business, replaced by high-volume, low-cost services such as Expedia and Travelocity. The very same information technology for gathering and making available to customers a world of airline and hotel information already exists for the housing market. It's called MLS. But as things now stand, consumers can't access all of that MLS information. Okay, what couldn't they access before? What's he referring to here?
What he's referring to is, and in Canada they still can't access it. So one of the things that makes Canada and the U.S. a little bit different is that in the U.S., real estate brokerages can build their own websites that really mirror all the information that agents have in the MLS. So some of the differences between what agents can view today in Canada versus what's on Realtor.ca, the public site, are historical sales, properties that have been relisted and listed on the property, how long they've been on the markets, days on market, a lot of information that really helps consumers and agents decide what they're going to offer on a property. So this is not available in Canada. It is available in the U.S. to consumers.
Should we be having it here?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's definitely the next step in brokerages really innovating and building websites that help consumers research the transactions themselves.
Why don't we have it here yet?
Because we don't have the rules, because the Canadian Real Estate Association and the local boards really haven't put these data sharing policies in place the way the U.S. has. The U.S. has done it for quite some time, and even in the U.S. they had them available. The National Association of Realtors tried to kind of block them when these discount brokerages started emerging, and then they were challenged by the Department of Justice and basically had to keep those rules open. So
do you think the Competition Bureau was right to look into this?
I definitely think they were right to look into it. I mean, I think the decision that CREA made in 2006 was, obviously anti-competitive and restricted competition. And it was a bad move on CREA's part. I mean, I think, in their situation, they're worse off because of their making those rules, passing those rules in 2006. The consumers are better off.
Are you a member of CREA?
I am.
You are?
I am.
And they let you go out here and...
I mean,
they're not going to be real happy with what you've got to say, I'm guessing, though.
No, I mean, I think everyone has their own opinion. I mean, I think there is a segment of agents and brokers out there who are a little bit more progressive, who want more competition, and who want these changes that have been going on in the U.S. that aren't going on in Canada.
So what would the pending changes to MLS mean for open real estate data in Canada?
They would basically allow real estate brokerages like ours to take all the MLS data, potentially even sold data, put it on our website, and allow our clients to research all information related to every listing, including potentially historical sales.
Now, who would be opposed to that?
I mean, obviously, real estate brokerages are.
Why do they not like that idea?
Because they don't like the idea that consumers can access the information themselves. I mean, they're worried.
Because that takes work away from their people?
Well, potentially. I mean, they're worried that they're going to be the next, travel industry, say, or next E-Trade. And I guess it's been, for the longest time, there has been this sort of gatekeeping mentality because realtors feel that this is kind of their key value add, that they have the information the consumer doesn't.
Right. It's their business.
Yeah, exactly.
Their expertise.
Absolutely. And I think as businesses, businesses evolve and as technology evolves, that mindset has to change. I mean, I think your key value add can't just be the information you have. I mean, you have to be doing more than just giving the information.
Now, I remember, 10, 20 years ago, if you wanted to go somewhere, you picked up the phone, you called your travel agent.
Yeah.
I don't think that many people do that anymore, right? They're going online, they're doing their own thing.
Yeah.
Do you see similarities between as Tony pointed out in his piece between travel and real estate?
I mean, there's definitely similarities. I mean, a few key factors why real estate can't go into the direction where the travel industry has gone or where e-trade has gone.
Like what?
Well, for starters, there's a few issues with respect to the transaction. I mean, the transaction of buying a flight is very simple and it's very easy to automate. Mm-hmm. It's very difficult to automate the transaction of buying a house. Right. There are a lot of factors that can go wrong.
Well, you don't need a lawyer to take a flight.
Exactly. I mean, secondly, in real estate, there's imperfect information. Mm-hmm. When I buy a stock on E-Trade, I know exactly what the value of that stock is at that point in time. Mm-hmm. That doesn't exist in real estate. There's no website that can tell you this is exactly how much this house is worth today. And finally, the risk is too great. Okay, so what risk do I take on when I buy a flight on Travelocity? Nothing. What risk do I take by buying on E-Trade? Nothing. But when you are selling a house yourself, you take on the risk of potentially selling your house for 3 to 5% over its value or 3 to 5% under its value, depending on how well you market it, you prepare it, the renovations you do. Mm-hmm. So the risk is significantly different.
Let me ask you one last thing in our last minute here. Redfin. Yep. What is this site in the States I've heard about? Redfin. Okay. What is that?
They are probably the most well-known, I guess you can call them discount brokerage in the United States. They're, venture capital funding. They're very well established in a lot of cities, and they basically charge a lower commission when they're listing a property, and they give buyers a rebate when they purchase because, again, buyers can now search all properties on their own website, on Redfin's website. So they feel if our agents aren't searching for our clients, that's a big portion of the job, we can give our buyers a rebate because they've found their houses themselves.
Gotcha. So
that's kind of their business model.
Successful?
They are. I mean, interestingly enough, even they're actually moving closer to a full-service brokerage. When they launched, they were charging $2,000 to list properties on the MLS. Now they're charging 1.5% for the listing fee and then 2.5% on the buying side. Okay. And I think primarily because it wasn't economical probably at $2,000. And I think part of it is I think their clients probably wanted more advice and support in the transaction.
Well, so, John, we appreciate you coming in today and giving us your advice.
Thanks for having me.
John Pasalis, owner, broker, Realosophy Realty. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.